presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are Detroit.
Tigers baseball on Fox Sports Detroit is presented by Bell Tire. Tonight, the Tigers begin a challenging 10-game road trip, and they will do it right here in the Bronx. It is Game 1 this evening, featuring the Tigers and the New York Yankees from Yankee Stadium. The rest of the road trip features a couple of tough stops as well, 3 in Chicago, and then eventually 4 next weekend in Kansas City. Hi again, everyone. Welcome to Tigers Baseball. Mario and Pemba alongside Ron Allen. Glad to have you with us for the Tigers and Yanks tonight. Rod, when you think about it, the Tigers have played good baseball at home. The road has been a different story. Hopefully that'll change this week.
I believe it does change. This Tigers team is playing much better baseball, and they really need to change that on the road because they're going up against CC here today, and they've got to play a better brand of baseball. But you have to think about the first game of the series, not the entire road trip.
All right, now Miguel Cabrera, we know one thing. He loves the big stage. This is the big stage, and when you look at his numbers in the Bronx, they're awfully good.
Whether it be the old Yankee Stadium or whether it be the new Yankee Stadium, he has just walked around New York like he has owned the place. His damage has been superior in this particular ballpark and the old Yankee Stadium to the tune of 12 homers and 28 driven in, and the OPS, that is the on-base percentage and the slugging percentage combined, is over 1,200. So Miguel Cabrera just has a lot of fun, but he's got his work cut out today because his numbers against lefties are not good, and his numbers against CC aren't very good either.
All right, CC Sabathia will get the call tonight for the Yankees, and CC is a different kind of guy than we saw. The guy that broke in with Cincinnati threw hard, or with Cleveland rather, threw hard. This guy a little bit different, but he's getting it done.
You know, he used to be 97, 98 with his fastball with that really hard slider, but what he is doing now, he is basically pitching backwards. He will throw you breaking balls in fastball counts. He'll throw you fastballs in breaking ball counts. His ERA is pretty good this year. He's pitched well in his last 4 outings. He's racking up some strikeouts. He's also not walking very many, but pretty much these days he is changeup, backdoor breaking ball to the right-handers. To the left-handers, he pretty much stays away all day long too. So he's made a real nice transition, and it's taken him about 1.5 years to learn how to pitch with less velocity.
All right, now one of the guys he'll have to deal with tonight, or at least the Tigers will have to deal with, is Carlos Beltran. Now here's a guy in his career that has been awfully good, a switch hitter. He's 39 years of age, but when you look at some of the numbers he has this year, they're some of the best in his career.
You know, he's playing outstanding baseball, so it's going to be very important tonight for Mike Pelfrey to make sure he keeps the top 2 guys off the base pass. That would be Ellsbury and also Gardner, because if you keep them off the base pass, then you could pitch around Carlos Beltran. He is clearly their hottest hitter right now. You want to stay away from him if you have an opportunity to do so. So it'll be up to Mike Pelfrey to make sure that he limits the damage and he doesn't have too many guys on base.
16 home runs already this year for Beltran. He had 19 all of last year, so clearly he is well ahead of the pace that he established last season. Now the Tigers and the Yankees are playing for the 4th time this year. Yankees have won 2 of the first 3 in the season series. We'll see how the Tigers are able to do here tonight. Well, the Tigers getting set to take on the Yanks. We heard of the news that Gordie Howe has passed away, and before our national anthem here at the ballpark tonight, we pause for a moment of silence for the great Gordie Howe.
Yankees in a moment of silence as we remember hockey legend Gordie Howe. One of the greatest players of all time, Mr. Hockey is the only person to play the game in 6 different decades. He was a 6-time league most valuable player, and his 801 goals is the second most all time. Gordie Howe was 88 years old. Thank you. And now, the United States Army Band's rendition of our national anthem.
Mike check, 1-2, play-by-play, 1-2. Where the Yankees are taking on the Detroit Tigers tonight in the first of a 3-game weekend series. CC Sabathia is on the mound for the Yankees. The Tigers starting lineup is presented by your Southeast Michigan Ford dealers. It'll be Kinsler, Maven, and Cabrera in the top 3 spots. Miguel in his last 10. Awfully good. Meanwhile, Martinez, Castellanos, Martinez in the middle of the lineup, and Upton, McCann, and Iglesias will round out the bottom 3 for Brad Ausmus here tonight. And they will be facing the left-hander CC Sabathia.
CC Sabathia on a pretty good roll in his last 5 starts. He's not the power pitcher that he used to be, but he's learning to pitch with less velocity. He's got a fastball that tops out at about 90 miles an hour these days. He also has a really good changeup, and he also has a backdoor breaking ball that he's been getting the right-handed hitters out with.
So the Tigers begin this long 10-game road trip, hopeful of playing better baseball away from Comerica Park on the road this year. The Tigers are 3 under at 13-16, but this presents an opportunity against 3 pretty good baseball clubs in their home ballparks, and we'll see how the Tigers are able to do. It'll be Kinsler to start things off, then Maven and Cabrera. On a gorgeous night for baseball here in the Bronx, we're at Yankee Stadium, game 1 in this 3-game series.
Perfect baseball weather here this evening.
Yeah, no humidity at all. It is a nice night as Kinsler digs in. And CC ready with the first pitch. It's a ball high and away. 1 ball and no strikes on Kinsler. A .315 batting average.
Yeah, Yankees one of those teams that really don't shift all that much defensively, but they are shifting on Kinsler ever so slightly in the infield to the pull field.
Here's the 1-0 pitch. There's a strike called on Kinsler.
CC has come up with a cutter, and he's really been able to perfect that cut fastball the last year and a half. And now he's really throwing that pitch with a lot of confidence inside to the right-handed batters. And that cut fastball pretty much the pitch of choice these days.
Kinsler batting .315, 11 homers, and he's knocked in 35. He this season is torching left-handed pitching to a 403 clip.
And he's been in the big leagues for over a decade now, and he's playing some of his best baseball of his career.
Now the 2-1 pitch. Ian fouls it straight back, and the count goes 2 balls and 2 strikes.
It's about what you're going to get from CC. And 91 pretty much will be his top fastball tonight.
Sabathia is 35 years of age, out of Vallejo, California. Here's the 2-2 on the way, and it's outside. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Tigers 1 game over the 500 mark at 30-29 coming into play. The Yankees, courtesy of a sweep of the Angels, are back to 500. Here's the 3-2. Back to the screen it goes. Maben and then Cabrera to follow here in the top of the 1st inning.
Kinsler, outstanding numbers this year against left-handed pitching. And batting over 400.
Ian pounds another one back out of play.
Something else they said regarding CC Sabathia and his health with that right knee. He now wears a big brace on that right knee, and they say he's finally comfortable with that brace on the knee. And whereas last year he wasn't all that comfortable with it.
Sabathia in his last 4 after coming off the disabled list, pitching some of his best baseball. And meanwhile, Kinsler continues to foul pitch after pitch back into the seats.
There will be a lot of contact today against CC Sabathia. He's not the strikeout artist that he once was when he came up with the Cleveland Indians, when he was throwing 97, 98 with a real good slider, good curveball, and a changeup.
There's Cabrera lurking. He will bat 3rd in this inning. And Kinsler shatters the bat, fouls off another. This has turned into a 9-pitch at bat, but Kinsler needs a new piece of wood. Ian also has 7 stolen bases this year, which is a team high for the Tigers. Sabathia trying to find a way to get him out of the batter's box, but not been able to put him away. And the battle will continue.
The last couple of years, a lot of people in baseball, and the players in particular, they always talk about quality at bats early in the game, build up this starting pitcher's pitch count so you can get into the other team's bullpen. But I don't know if that's a great idea here with these Yankees. No. I don't know if you're in a hurry to get into their bullpen.
7, 8, 9. They've got 3 of the most dominant relievers, all that have closed in the big leagues. There's a ground ball foul whistling around the dugout of the Tigers.
So when you come and you play the Yankees, whether you're on the road or whether you're at home, you want to come out with a sense of urgency, and you want to have a lead in the game, because you don't want them leading after the 6th, because that's when Joe Girardi usually goes to that 3-headed monster that he has. Although you can hit those guys, but they don't get hit around very often.
Yeah, the Tigers actually did pretty well against them on the last homestand in the makeup game.
Yeah. Chapman also blew a save on their recent road trip.
Here is the 12th pitch in this at bat, and he got him on strikes. Kinsler thought he had a walk, and he's rung up by Carlos Torres.
CC came back with a 92-mile-per-hour fastball on the 11th pitch of the at bat, and he's able to retire Ian Kinsler. Looks like that ball was down and out of the strike zone, and Ian Kinsler should be standing on first base.
Boy, after an at bat like that, a lengthy battle.
Yeah, you hate to have it taken away from you.
No doubt, and Kinsler can't be happy about that. 1 away.
Oh, he's hot.
Here is Cameron Maben. Maben back in the lineup after a sore wrist kept him out of a couple of games.
I believe Cameron's pretty much going to have to battle that sore wrist all year. It's just the way it is. I mean, you're in a hurry to play when you want to disable this at the beginning of the year, and sometimes you just don't allow it to heal 100%. So there's always going to be some issues during the course of the season.
I will say this about Maben. He has found a way to play around that pain in the wrist. In fact, he comes in batting .419, had a really good homestand for the Tigers.
Yeah, they gave him a day off a couple of days ago, and they had the built-in day off yesterday, and he received a cortisone shot to ease the pain in that right wrist. So he should be good to go here.
That's it for a strike.
That's that cut fastball, about 87 miles an hour. CC starts it right down the middle. And that's what you see as a hitter. And then all of a sudden, because of how he holds the ball and the way that he throws it and releases it, has that natural action running in on the right-handed batter.
Lifted in the air toward right, slicing toward the corner. That'll get back out of play.
Not a lot of people here tonight.
No, I'm kind of surprised.
Watch these Yankees.
A lot of empty seats. Crowd still filing in here this evening. The first of a 3-game weekend set. Yankees, we mentioned, off the 4-game sweep of the Angels here at home. So they're on a bit of a roll.
I guess these Yankee fans do it like they do on the left coast. Dodger Stadium. They arrive late and they leave early.
CC ready with the 1-2. Outside, 2 balls and 2 strikes. Well, Maben on the last homestand hit .429, and you're just waiting for that average to dip below 400, but it just hasn't. Ever since coming off the disabled list, he's been on fire. That'll go 3-2 now as CC is about to throw his 19th pitch. 12 of those to the first hitter, Kinsler, before he got him looking. It's Joe Girardi, the skipper of the New York Yankees. Swing and a miss, and Maben goes down on strikes, 2 away.
Let's take a look at the New York Yankees starting defense. It is brought to you by Tim Hortons, left to right. They've got Gardner, Ellsbury, and Beltran. Headley, Gregorius, Castro, Ref Snyder in the infield, and Brian McCann is the catcher this evening.
So here's how they like to face Cabrera with nobody on. 2 away for Miguel, who has a 10-game hitting streak. Cabrera hammers the first in the air to center field. Ellsbury is on the run, and it's going to be a 1-2-3 inning for CC Sabathia. As we go to the bottom of the first inning, the Tigers fail to score in the top of the inning. The Yanks starting lineup presented by the Metro Detroit Chevy dealers. For Joe Girardi tonight, it's Ellsbury, Gardner, and Beltran at the top of their lineup. Last 7 games, Gardner has been red hot. A-Rod, the DH, McCann catching, Castro at second, and a bottom 3 of Gregorius, Headley, and Refsnyder. And they are facing Mike Pelfrey, presented tonight by Family Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
And Mike got his first win as a Tiger in his last outing, and throwing lots of ground balls. And that's one of the things that you can tell very early with Mike, if he's on top of his game, if he's getting lots of ground balls.
Here is Ellsbury to get it going out for the Yankees. He'll look at a strike at the knees, 0-1.
Ellsbury and Gardner, the number 2 hitter, have been playing some pretty good baseball the last week or so. Very important for Mike Pelfrey to keep Ellsbury off the base paths.
Yankee lineup here tonight is loaded with left-handed batters, and with good reason. When you look at the numbers that Pelfrey has had against lefties this year, not so good. 350. There's a ball outside. 2 balls, 1 strike to Jacoby Ellsbury.
That's why it's going to be very important for him to mix in some breaking balls, mix in that real good split-fingered fastball that he features on occasion, along with that turbo sinker that he has.
There's a bouncer back up the middle. Iglesias crossing the bag. 1 gone.
Let's take a look at the Detroit Tigers starting defense. It is always presented by Beaumont Health. In the outfield, you've got Upton, you've got Maben and Martinez. Castellanos, Iglesias, Kinsler, the big fella, Miguel Cabrera. He's anchored over at first, and James McCann. He's our catcher tonight.
Yeah, a couple of McCanns behind the plate. We'll try and keep him straight.
You know, I've been known to call one James and the other one Brian.
You're not the only one, my man.
I was trying to figure out what the over and under was going to be tonight.
Here's Brett Gardner. He'll take a strike right at the belt. 0-1 on Gardner.
And Brett has really good speed. Therefore, Castellanos at third base. He's about 6 steps in front of the third base bag. Nick's been playing some real good defense all season.
Lofted to center field. It'll sink in for a base hit.
He's just on fire right now, man. In his last 7 games, man, this dude's hitting like 550.
Yeah, nobody's been able to get him out.
And this is just a little soft serve in the center field. A little breaking ball, backdoor variety. Nice, easy swing by Gardner.
Top of the order for the Yankees has good speed. Ellsbury and Gardner have combined for 23 stolen bases.
Well, you wonder if Gardner will be on the move, because if he is, that would allow Pelfrey to really pitch around one of their other hotter hitters. That would be Beltran, if he chooses to do so and go after A-Rod.
They're playing the shift defensively as they swing around to the right side of the infield. Beltran hits it the other way. He beats the shift into left.
How about that?
And Gardner will go to second and stand there. 2 on now with 1 out.
Looked like to me that Beltran, because they were swung around to the right side, he simply took that 2-seam fastball, and look at his concentration. Look at the bat angle, and look at his head. He tried to hit the ball in that direction, and he was successful. I don't know why more guys don't do it.
Well, you would think that at this point many more would, but we just haven't seen a lot of it. Here is Alex Rodriguez.
Pelfrey is always 1 pitch away from getting out of any jam with his sinker ball. He throws lots of double plays. 29 of those last year, and he's thrown a lot already this season in his first year in a Tigers uniform.
A-Rod looks at ball 1 outside. 7 homers this year for Alex Rodriguez. 694 in his career as he is gaining on 700. Pelfrey has a first inning jam. 2 on, 1 out. Big swing there by A-Rod. 1-1. Alex has had 16 RBIs in his last 19 games. Slap back out of play. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Pelfrey, for as much as he has struggled for much of this year, in his last 5 starts has an ERA just a little bit over 3.
Team not scoring any runs for him, partner.
Yeah, and that's been the issue. I mean, he comes in with a record of 1-5, but really should have a few more victories than that.
I think in the numbers before his last start, they were averaging 1.78 runs per game for Pelfrey. Under 2 runs per game of run support.
Will not get it done. Here's the 1-2. Brian McCann waiting on deck. Now a meeting on the mound as James McCann walks out to chat quickly with Pelfrey. Like in his last start against Chicago, went 6 innings, only 2 runs, struck out 3.
It's just a given, really, when there's a runner on second base. If he can steal your signs and give them to the hitter, he's going to do that. So what you have to do, if you're McCann and you're Pelfrey, you have to negate that. You have to talk about it. You have to continually change your pitch patterns, because guys are going to cheat, and it's really not even cheating. I mean, if you're standing out at second base and you can give location to Alex Rodriguez, not necessarily pitch, but location as a hitter, then you pretty much have an idea of what pitch is coming because of the location that pitch is going to, because of what the pitcher likes to do. And that's why you see so many times the guys visit the catcher and the pitcher when there's runners on second base.
A-Rod waiting patiently, now steps out. Now Pelfrey ready. Three and 2 now on Alex Rodriguez. Last one in '94, didn't miss by much.
Boy, you wonder what Joe Girardi will do here.
Kind of risky, isn't it?
It's risky, and I'll give you another reason why you might not want to start him, because if A-Rod strikes out, they can throw Beltran out at second base. They might not get Gardner at third, but then the guy in the on-deck circle, Brian McCann, who's absolutely owned Pelfrey, he doesn't bat with runners in scoring position. So we'll see what he wants to do here.
Runners hold, and a half swing ground ball foul.
But then you add in the fact that Pelfrey throws so many ground balls. You might, you know, when there's so many different equations to this and how you make this move and what's the right and wrong move.
Risk reward, I guess, is what you have to consider, and I think it's too much of a risk early on here to start the runners, and they held them that time. Girardi just hoping A-Rod does not bounce into a double play. And again the 3-2. And he walked it, ball 4. Boy, A-Rod was kind of hanging around to see if he'd be rung up, but he wasn't. A couple of singles and a walk have loaded the bases.
That ball just off the plate. McCann tried to pull it back into the strike zone, but Carlos Torres was not buying.
You saw a good shot there of James having a little bit of a chat with the home plate umpire.
And he did it the right way, too. Still looking toward the field, but yet having a conversation about the previous pitch.
Carlos saying nope, that ball missed, and actually it was a tad outside. So now here is McCann, and as you alluded to, he has absolutely killed Pelfrey in his career. And he'll take a ball outside, 1-0.
Usually McCann is one that gets shifted on, but the Tigers are not shifting on him that much in this particular at bat. And when he gets up with the bases empty, more than likely they'll have 3 infielders over on the second base side.
McCann is a .465 career hitter against Pelfrey. There's another one down low, 2 balls and no strikes. Pelfrey got the quick ground out from Ellsbury, but it's been downhill since. Singles by Gardner and Beltran, and a walk to Alex Rodriguez. Here are those career numbers. They also include a couple of home runs.
Anytime you go up against the Yankees and all their left-handed hitters, the one thing you want to accomplish as a pitcher, you do not want to let these guys pull the baseball. Very short porch down the right field line, just 314, and from home plate.
2-0 is outside, 3-0.
And he is concentrating so heavily in trying to hit the outside corner is that he's not even close to the strike zone.
Yeah, that 314 down the right field line just stares right at you.
Look for Brian McCann to have the green light here to swing the bat if he chooses to do so on the 3-0 pitch.
And he'll take ball 4. That will force in a run.
That's going to get Rich Doobie out of the dugout to have a conversation with Pelfrey, and that's going to get some activity in Tigers bullpen too early here tonight.
Well, the manager's nightmare is always getting the bullpen up in the first inning. Especially when you consider the Tigers are starting a 10-game road trip here. Bases loaded walk to McCann, his 26th RBI.
Mike had some issues with wildness earlier in the season, but he really hasn't had that issue lately.
No, his walks have been down. He had that 6-walk game early in the season, followed by a 5-walk game. But since then, he's kind of reeled that in.
Still one pitch away from getting out of the jam.
10 balls against 9 strikes. Starlin Castro will step in. Castro, a .258 hitter. And for as long as this half inning has been for Pelfrey, you're absolutely right. You get a ground ball here, and it's a 1-0 game. And you get back into the dugout. Castro, 4-game hit streak. He is taking after that 4-pitch walk to McCann, strike 1. Rolled foul, and now quickly 0-2 on the second baseman Castro.
It might be a good time for Pelfrey to go upstairs with a 4-seam fastball about 94 miles an hour and to see if he can get a swing and miss out of Castro. Might be a little bit too risky to throw that split-fingered fastball down in the dirt with a runner on third base.
Here's the 0-2. Fouled back out of play.
He tried that fastball upstairs, but Castro able to get just a piece of it.
So Pelfrey now has thrown 22 pitches. They have Beltran at third, A-Rod at second, and McCann at first. Outside, 1-2.
And last 2 fastballs that Pelfrey has thrown here in this at bat to Castro have been at 94 miles an hour, his hardest 2 pitches of the evening.
Yankees came in batting .244 as a team toward the bottom of the American League. Did he check it? He went around. Castro is out of there on strikes, 2 gone. Big strikeout for Pelfrey.
It's a good pitch too. After a number of fastballs, he comes back with an outstanding breaking ball, and he's able to get him to swing at it.
Clearly went around. First strikeout of the game for Pelfrey. That'll bring up Didi Gregorius. .263 hitter. Strike one on Gregorius.
There's already been a couple of players beefing at the strike zone tonight of Carlos Torres. He's already been noticed here in the first inning. It's not a good thing.
Yeah, by both teams. That one clearly outside. Here's the 0-1. Sliced in the air toward left field. And that ball is over the head of Upton. Up against the wall. 2 runs are in. They're going to try and score. McCann throw to the plate, and he is out. But the Yankees add 2 more as Gregorius hits one over the head of Justin Upton. And the Yankees will take a 3-0 lead after 1 here in the Bronx.
Like Justin got a poor read on it. He broke in. Then by the time he recovered, the ball was over his head. But he got the ball to Iglesias, the shortstop. And it was a real nice deep job by James McCann, the catcher. He was pretending like there was going to be no play. He got the baseball and then was able to apply the swipe tag to McCann as he slid into home plate.
Well, some work to do now for the Tigers. They're down 3-0 as Victor Martinez will lead things off here in the second. Martinez, Castellanos, and then J.D. Martinez. Sabathia had a 1-2-3 first, although he needed 20 pitches. There's a ball high. Victor coming into play tonight, leading the American League at .341. He had the day off on Wednesday, coupled with the day off yesterday.
He ought to be good to go today.
2-0 is roped foul. 2 balls and 1 strike on Martinez.
He's got those fresh legs tonight.
Well, Brad's done a good job this year of making sure not only to get the bench players in, but also finding spots where his veterans need some time off, whether it's Victor or Cabrera DHing or even Kinsler a day off.
Very important to do so.
Here's the 2-1 pitch. High, ball 3. Xander Bogaerts right behind Victor Martinez. Bogaerts has been up there either first, second, third in that area most of the year.
Bogaerts has turned himself into one of the premier shortstops in our sport.
Ripped down the left field line. That is going to get down and go to the wall. Fielded on a hop by Gardner, but it's going to be a long single for Victor Martinez.
We have 2 premier switch hitters in this ball game tonight. Victor Martinez, who's been in the big leagues for 14 years, and Carlos Beltran, their right fielder. He's got 18 years in the big leagues. Guys still getting it done. We were talking about this earlier today, man. The switch hitting power hitter is kind of a dying breed in baseball. You don't see many switch hitters these days.
No, a lot of the switch hitters that you do see are guys that, you know, singles hitters.
Yeah, guys that run a little bit.
Here's Castellanos. Nick batting .316.
Castellanos drove a lot of balls the opposite way last year, but this year, and he's having a great year, he has become a much more pull hitter this season. Most of his hits have gone to the pull field.
Including the 2-run homer that he hit on Wednesday against the Blue Jays. When you look at Nick's numbers now, that is 11 home runs. He hit 15 all of last year.
He says he's just comfortable, not trying to do too much, not trying to be anybody else, not trying to pattern his game after anybody else's game. He's just real happy in being Nicholas Castellanos these days.
And that's pretty good. Of course, Nick started very quickly this year, .363 in the month of April, and has been over .300 most of the year. One ball, 2 strikes on Castellanos. Swing and a miss, and Sabathia gets another strikeout. That'll be his 3rd of the game. 1 away.
This is what CC does these days. Here's a changeup, and he's mastered this pitch. He just fades it outside to the right-handed batter at about 84 miles an hour. Straight change.
Now J.D. Martinez. .370 homestand for J.D. He swung the bat really well last week at Comerica Park. 12 homers this year. 3-0 deficit in this ballpark with this lineup is not something that's awfully troublesome. Tigers the ability to get back into the game quickly with 1 swing. Half swing there by J.D. 1 ball, 1 strike. Seven games worth, a .370 batting average on the last homestand for Martinez. Soft line drive to left. That'll drop in. Base hit. Victor on his way to second. He will stop there, and the Tigers now have something going. 2 on with 1 out. Here are the field conditions tonight, presented by Ace Hardware and the Scotts Company. We mentioned that at the top of the show, it's awfully nice here. We'll check it out. 74 at game time, and mostly clear. Tigers are used to a lot of humidity when they come to New York.
It's always hot here.
Well, here is Upton now with 2 on and 1 out. And speaking of guys that picked up the pace on the last homestand, Upton .333 with a couple of home runs. On the outer edge, a strike called on Justin.
You know, we've watched Mike Pelfrey quite a bit this year, and he's a slow worker, but I did not realize CC Sabathia worked this slow. Cannot remember him working this slow.
I don't either, and of course this ball game started slowly because of the 12 pitch at bat that Kinsler put up. and a couple of base runners here in this inning, but it seems to be a much slower pace for the lefty. 0-2 now on Justin Upton. And we always talk about the kind of impact that can have on the defense behind you if you work at a slow pace. Outfielders don't necessarily sit out there picking dandelions like they do in Little League.
Close though.
But it gets a little old. Infielders on the heels of their feet instead of their toes. Here's the 0-2. Check swing. He didn't go. Not even close. It's Ben May down at first base that he held up. Upton now with 17 RBIs. Got a chance to drive in a couple here. Clearly holding up. Here's the 1-2.
CC 28 seconds in between pitches.
Really? Did you time it?
I did.
Wow. Very methodically trying to pitch through some trouble here in the second. He has James McCann waiting on deck. Victor started the inning off with a single, a one-out base hit by J.D. Martinez. Outside, 2-2. CC beat the Tigers back on April 9th at Comerica, went 6 innings in that game, allowing 3 runs. High again, 3 balls, 2 strikes. And Sabathia now has 20 career wins over the Tigers, the most against any opponents. Now we'll see what the Tigers are thinking here with runners at first and second, 3-2 count.
They got to leave him there, I'm thinking.
Only 1 out. And he popped him up. Left side of the infield. Gregorius calling. Infield fly rule, so Upton is automatically out, 2 away. We'll bring up McCann. Now that I think about it, with Victor Martinez second base, there's no way they were starting the run.
Yeah, I'm thinking to myself, what is he talking about?
I had it switched around. I had JD at second in my mind. There's not a shot.
Unless you take a Lamborghini out there and put Victor in it, get him over to third.
Here is McCann. Now James batting $184. Although he started to perk up on the last homestand as well. 333 on the homestand. There's a strike on the outer edge.
CC not pitching inside all that aggressively. He does have that cut fastball to keep you honest. But by and large, what he wants to do is finish you off with backdoor breaking balls if you're a right-handed batter, or that fading changeup. He's also thrown quite a few fastballs upstairs, trying to get swings and misses on that pitch.
One ball, 1 strike on McCann. Five RBIs in his last 5 games and 6 hits for McCann, who apparently is feeling better now with the ankle, which obviously kept him on the disabled list and has had to work through that injury. Yankees got 3 in the bottom of the first. Tigers threatening here in the top of the second. Here's the 1-1. So now Sabathia is a pitch away from getting out of this inning. Mentioned CC with 20 wins career against the Tigers, 20-13. But his ERA is a little bit over 4, so he's not really dominated the Tigers. One and two. Two balls and 2 strikes.
When CC was a lot younger, when he was pitching for Cleveland, he would beat the Tigers, but the Tigers gave him fits. They had good right-handed hitters. They had Marcus Timms, who's hitting from the right side, Craig Monroe, Brandon Inge was having good years then. They had Sheffield one year batting right-hand. Tigers have always had dangerous right-handed bats.
Well, I will say this, and you've touched on this, you really can't be excited about his rhythm here tonight.
It is not good, man. He is nearly 30 seconds every pitch.
McCann just went out to have a quick chat with him.
Had a really nice conversation today with the manager Joe Girardi and his first base coach Tony Pena. A couple of catchers, and we were talking about the evolution of the fastball upstairs these days by all major league pitchers.
Yeah, what did they think?
They say the velocity. They say guys throw a lot harder these days. Guys are 95, 96. They said you can have a 12-man pitching staff, and there could be 10 guys with 95 and above, and you can pitch upstairs if you got 95 miles an hour. Tony Pena also said something that was interesting. He said guys that don't throw hard, their windups are a little easier for them to get the ball downhill.
Chopper to the shortstop. Gregorius has it, and the Tigers are turned away here in the second. No runs, 2 hits, and 2 men left. In MGM Grand, Detroit brings you the scouting report on the Tigers' first-round pick this year. That would be Matt Manning out of Sacramento, California, a high schooler, and he has looked impressive in high school, Rod.
Well, heard great things about him. They say that his fastball gets up to about 95 miles an hour. He throws downhill. He's very athletic as well, which is always a good thing. 2-sports star in high school, was headed to Loyola Marymount on a basketball scholarship and baseball.
2 sports, you know, something a lot of coaches these days talk about. Not enough kids are playing multiple sports. And Manning pretty good at basketball as well. Here was the draft coverage last night as Matt Manning was selected first by the Tigers, 9th overall in the country.
He got a little deception in his delivery, a little herky-jerkiness. They'll probably clean that up. And once they do clean that up, his velocity probably will go up a couple of miles per hour. His father played in the NBA for 10 years. That's probably where his infatuation with basketball started.
Chase Headley starting things off here in the second, and he will look at a ball inside. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Well, when you select a high schooler, you obviously have a little more time to develop him, but there comes a little bit of added risk too.
I think the scouting directors these days, they're starting to go out and watch guys play football on Friday night. They're watching basketball players. They're simply trying to find the best athlete. And if you can find a really good athlete with some baseball skills, you can find a superstar. And once they get to the big leagues.
3-2 on Chase Headley. Rob Refsnyder to follow, then Jacoby Ellsbury, the Yankees second. Yanks got 3 in the first, a bases loaded walk, and then a 2-run double by Gregorius.
Already quite a few pitches thrown by Pelfrey in this contest. He's about to throw number 33.
Kinsler shading over to his left to handle that ground ball. 1 gone.
Here's the young man playing some basketball. The Tigers' #1 selection yesterday, Matt Manning, with the 9th pick. He walked with a little swagger too. You see him, partner?
Yeah, I did. Now watch him step back for a 3 here.
Nice swing, man.
Right there.
He got some hops too. Watch this next one.
Is he going to leap?
Yes, he is. Throw it down.
Nice.
Look out, young man. I'm taking him in the pickup game. In the annual pickup game, I got him.
Well, now you could post up your own self. I mean, you would have little trouble. You'd just be feeding it out to him at the 3-point line. Let Manning do the rest. Refsnyder is the batter. He is sawed off and he bounces it right back to Pelfrey. 2 ground ball outs. Now Brett Gardner. Or check it, Jacoby Ellsbury, rather. Ellsbury bounced out his first time up. 290 batting average. He came in 6th for his previous 12 at bats. Fouled right into the glove of McCann. Here's the 0-1. Ellsbury this year with 12 steals already. That is the 3rd highest mark in the American League, and one of those steals was a straight steal of home back in April.
You don't see that very often.
Not anymore, not at all. Well, there's another grounder back to the mound. That's going to be an easy inning for Mike Pelfrey, so nicely done. 1, 2, 3 they go. We go to the 3rd. Play game one in this series between the Tigers and the Yanks, starting a 10-game road trip for the Tigers. The Yankees got 3 in the first inning, and so far it's held up. It'll be Iglesias, Kinsler, and Maben here in the top of the third. Jose batting .236. Sabathia allowed a couple of singles in that second, but no runs. And a line drive to left. That'll get down, a base hit. Iglesias taking a wide turn, will hold up. It's a leadoff single. Hey, just a reminder, as you enjoy a cold one, to look forward to Miller Time later in tonight's game, brought to you by Miller Lite. Here is Kinsler. So the Tigers now have 3 hits. CeCe was in the stretch for most of the second, and now he's in the stretch again here in the third. Ian was caught looking back in the first inning on a pitch that appeared to miss the strike zone. It was a 12 pitch at bat. Here's the 1-0. 1 ball, 1 strike. Kinsler right now with 25 multi-hit games this year. He's also second in the league in runs scored. He really has done just about everything you would want a leadoff hitter to do.
Playing like an all-star this season.
Two and one.
Really, if you think about Ian Kinsler from the All-Star break up until this point, All-Star break last year up until this point, he's probably been the most productive second baseman in baseball. Not necessarily power, but everything else.
Little chopper toward third. That's a foul ball.
Because he was having a slow year last year until about the Independence Day, about July 4th, and man, he just turned it around.
You know, Cano's having a pretty good year this year for Seattle, but when you look at what Ian does on a daily basis, you got to drag him out of the lineup to begin with. Two balls, 2 strikes. High towering fly ball center field. Ellsbury backing up. Runner will tag. Iglesias coming to second, and he's going to get in there standing up. 1 away. We check in now with John Keating.
Mario, Cameron Maben has 43 major league homers, and he said his home run trot has never been faster than his first one. He had just been called up by the Tigers in August of 2007 at Yankee Stadium across the way, the old Yankee Stadium. He got a chance to face, or had to face, Roger Clemens, and homered in his second major league game. But when recalling that game, he actually said he loved his at-bat earlier in the game, in which he was called upon by Jim Leyland to hit and run. That says a lot about the kid that is Cameron Maben 9 years ago this summer.
Another reason why he ran around the bases, John, so rapidly is the fact that Roger Clemens, had he taken his time, he might have gotten him the next time.
He's going to wear one the next time.
Yeah, Roger
right?
played that old school baseball.
Well, Maben struck out in his first at bat here tonight, but every time he comes to the Bronx, I'm sure special memories come flooding back. And when you look at Maben, he was such a highly touted prospect, Ron. It was a first-round pick. A lot was expected of him, and then all of a sudden he's involved in a deal for Miguel Cabrera.
Yeah, they thought he would hit for a lot more power, really, than he has hit for in his major league career, but he's also played in some really big ballparks. He played in Miami. He also played in San Diego. Few games at Comerica Park early in his career, so he's played in big ballparks, but being a #1 draft choice, they thought that he would hit for more power. Now he's just a guy that just hits the baseball all over the place. Real good hand-eye coordination. He does not try to hit for power.
1 ball, 1 strike. Runner at second with 1 out. And Maben takes outside, 2-1. Maben actually made his major league debut the night before he hit his first major league homer, the day before, against Andy Pettitte, and was 0 for 4 in that game. Boy, that second big league game was something to remember. How about that? Pettitte and Clemens in your first 2 big league games.
Welcome to the movies, young man.
Man. Little pop up first base side. That'll be playable for Ref Snyder. And Iglesias will hold, 2 gone. By the way, stay tuned to Tigers Live following the game. We select the Fox Sports Detroit Tigers player of the game, presented by McDonald's. Stop by for your breakfast favorites, now being served all day. So here is Cabrera now with 2 away.
Miguel is 1 for his last 19 against CC Sabathia.
What?
1 for his last 19 against CC.
I don't believe you.
And he's batting under 200 against left-handed pitching this year. Shocking to me.
That's all about to change right here. Ball 1 missing outside. Here is the pitcher batter matchup, the Bernstein advantage when you look at the career numbers against CC Sabathia. 286, solid all the way around.
So what's more important to you, the numbers I gave you, the 1 for the last 19, or those numbers earlier in the career?
I would put more stock into what has happened recently.
Yeah, I would too.
I mean, you can't ignore the total history, but CC's a different guy now.
Yeah, he doesn't really give you a whole lot to hit. You have to display a lot of patience when you go up against CC. He's adding and subtracting on everything. The fastballs, the breaking balls, the changeups. And there used to be a time where he would just challenge you with good stuff.
Well, Miggy's got himself a 2-0 count here with a runner at second and 2 outs. Fly ball in the air to shallow right center. This will get Sabathia out of the inning. No runs, a hit, 1 man left. Brought to you by Comerica Bank. Raise your expectations of what a bank can be when it's time. Come to Comerica. By Jeep. Come discover great deals during the Jeep Drive and Discover events. And by Kroger. There's not a ballpark in America where Tigers fans do not travel to. Another good gathering of Tigers fans here in the Bronx.
And they love to put that Tigers gear on, too.
Yankees batting now as we go to the bottom of the third. Mike Pelfrey had himself a really good second inning.
Some folks look like they're spending the kids' inheritance money.
Well, it is theirs, you know.
Brett Gardner will lead it off, then Beltran, and then Alex Rodriguez. There's a ball high and away. 2-0 the count.
This is not cheap to come here.
No, it's not, but it certainly is worthwhile to visit Yankee Stadium. Although I will say this, not quite the intimidation factor that the old Yankee Stadium had. Here's a strike call, 2-1.
I would agree with that 100%. I'll never forget in 2000 and
here's the 2-1. Low, 3 balls and 1 strike.
Coming here after 9/11.
2001.
Yep, coming here after 9/11, and then you know, the World Series that year, and just the way those games went. You know, the 3 games the Yankees took here on the home runs. This place, man, no, the old Yankee Stadium was just shaking.
Right. 3-2 now on Gardner.
That was one of the best World Series that I've ever seen. I mean, the 2 games that the Diamondbacks won in Arizona, then losing 3 here, and then going back there and winning the last 2.
And make no mistake, this is a gorgeous ballpark. It's very well done. But there's something about the old ballparks, whether it's Tiger Stadium, Fenway Park, Wrigley, the old Yankee Stadium. You just can't replace, you know, the history and just the aura of those old ballparks.
Very special.
Here's the 3-2, and he lost him. Ball 4. Leadoff man aboard. We go back to the studio now, and Johnny Kane. All right, Johnny, thank you. We look forward to that. The great Gordie Howe led the Red Wings to 4 Stanley Cups.
Real classy move here tonight before the start of this contest. A moment of silence for Gordie Howe.
Beltran looks at a strike, 0-1.
Mark Acefano, our director in the truck here this evening, told us before the game today, 20 straight years, Gordie Howe, top 5 in scoring. How about that?
It's amazing. And beyond his skills on the ice, I mean, to a person, everybody loved Gordie off the ice. Here's the 0-1. Snap throw back, and he threw it away. That'll go down the right field line, and Gardner is going to be off to the races. He's on his way to third, and he's going to be in there diving head first.
That's going to be the second error of the season committed by James McCann. And he threw this ball from one knee. He got down on one knee and he was off balance. And because he was off balance and that knee was hitting the ground as he was throwing that baseball, it's a bad throw, a poor throw down the right field line.
So now a Yankee at third with nobody out. McCann came into this season having not committed an error in his rookie campaign.
And Tigers already trailing by 3 runs in this game with a runner on third, nobody out. They're just going to give the Yankees another run if the ball's hit on the ground.
And a soft line drive to center, base hit. That'll get the run in. Carlos Beltran, an RBI single, and it's 4-0 Yankees.
And Carlos Beltran has had a wonderful, wonderful career. 18 years in the big league. Says he wants to play a couple more seasons. And if he does that, he might just play well enough to get himself into the Hall of Fame. I happen to believe he's on the outside looking in, just on the outer edges. But, man, what a marvelous career he's had.
I agree with you. I think he's awfully close. Very, very close. There's a ground ball left side deep in the hole. Nice play, Iglesias, to get one. Relay to first. That's going to be a double play.
How in the world are you able to turn that double play? I know Alex is running, but still, Iglesias.
Boy, A-Rod took forever to get down the line.
But look how far he goes over. He gets in front of it, and then he takes his hand down there where the glove is, and he flips the ball to Ian Kinsler accurately. And then Ian Kinsler is able to turn it over. But the key to the play for me is having his hand down there where he fielded that ball so he didn't have to bring the glove up to the hand.
Well, that for certainly would get the force, and Kinsler would certainly just step off the bag and settle for one. But man, great turn at second base by Kinsler as well. And as smooth as silk as you can get it short by Iglesias. There's a bouncer to in, and just like that, the inning is over. However, the Yankees get a run and the Beltran RBI hit, but this smooth 6-4-3 helps out Pelfrey. They lead 4-0 now as we go to the top of the fourth inning here in the Bronx. And if the Tigers combine for 3 or more home runs in this game, bring a copy of the box score to a participating Arby's location tomorrow. Get a free small order of curly fries. Certainly doable. We'll see if the Tigers can get it going here in the fourth. It'll be Victor Martinez to lead it off against CC Sabathia. Victor had a single in his first at bat. The problem is, a lot of times we've seen this several times, Rod, that Victor will hit the ball off the wall but have to settle for one, and in many ways that will short circuit a lot of scoring opportunities.
Agreed. We've seen it a lot this year.
Later in the inning, J.D. Martinez had a base hit, but the Tigers would only get runners at first and second. Castellanos to follow then J.D. Martinez.
And when you think about the fact that Victor really does not use his legs to get any of his hits, and the fact that he is leading in the American League in hitting is fascinating.
It's astounding, really. Well, in one sense it is, but he's such a skilled hitter. Although I think he had 2 infield hits in the span of 2 or 3 days a couple of weeks ago, which, you know, you don't see often.
Yeah, Victor sprays the ball all around the ballpark. That's one of the things that he's very good at doing. And as we speak right now, 14 years into the big leagues, Victor Martinez is a career .300 hitter, batting right-handed and left-handed.
And a strike called, got him looking. Victor not very happy right now. One gone here in the fourth.
Victor Martinez used to catch CC Sabathia when Sabathia first came to the big leagues, but he has not really seen this version of CC Sabathia. Lots of off-speed pitches. Finally, strike 3 on a breaking ball at 83 miles an hour.
Well, she's coming off the DL with a groin strain. CC has made 4 starts and his ERA is 1.13 in that span. Here's Castellanos. Hammered to right field, slicing though.
When you start to think about left-handed power pitchers, and guys that for whatever reason had to go back to the drawing board and figure out a way to pitch with less stuff. Frank Tanana comes to mind. Tanana used to be a hard thrower early in his career, 97, 98 with his fastball, but after an injury, he had to turn into a guy that added and subtracted and threw breaking balls in fastball counts and change-ups in fastball counts, and he went on to still have a very nice major league career.
Little bouncer slowly toward third. Headley, and Nick is nipped by half a step.
This is what CC Sabathia used to look like when we first started watching him pitch for the Indians. He's big, obviously strong and physical, and he threw very hard. 97, 98. He would not mess around with breaking balls and fastball counts. He would simply come right after you. Had a stop in Milwaukee too, where he pitched them into the postseason after he was traded from the Cleveland Indians 1 year after winning the Cy Young.
Yeah, how about that? Now, of course, he signed that 8-year deal back in 09, which brings him through the end of this season. There's a ball missing low to JD. There is an option for the 17 campaign for CC Sabathia, but over the years he's had to change the way he's gotten outs. Sabathia on his last start had to pitch around 6 walks, and he did so. He has not walked anybody in this game so far. And he's gone 3-0 now on JD Martinez. Upton on deck. Lost him, ball 4. 2-out walk. Hit the Tigers host the Indians Saturday, June 25th at 4:10 p.m. Placido Polanco will participate in a pregame Q&A session as part of the season-long celebration of the 10th anniversary of the 2006 AL Champs. Visit Tigers.com or call 866-66-TIGER for more ticket information. Be on hand when Polanco returns to the Motor City.
It was an absolute joy in watching Polanco play baseball when he was a Tiger. His hands were just as steady as anybody's at that second base position. He could hit and run with the best of them. He was a solid player here.
Upton swings and misses. Yeah, I agree. And he was one of those guys that I guess you could call a glue player. He was just, he did everything. And when he was out of the lineup, you missed him.
Very smart, too. Jim Leland absolutely loved Polanco. But how could you not?
Upton popped up at his only at bat. Upton came into this game a .391 career hitter against Yankees pitching. Oh, 2.
Another one of those cut fastballs inside on Upton's hands. And CC Sabathia has thrown him quite a few of those already here today. From Vallejo, California, CC Sabathia.
Way outside. 1-2 on Upton. Sabathia has been a big winner in his career. In fact, he had a stretch of at least 15 wins and 200 innings for 6 consecutive years. Cy Young candidate perennially. Upton takes high, and he has leveled the count now at 2-2. Tigers have had some chances in this game. They had 2 on, 1 out in the second, but couldn't score. High again, and now from 0-2 to 3-2. Should up and reach. McCann waiting on deck. And the runner goes on 3-2, and he lost him, ball 4. So Sabathia now has walked back-to-back hitters. It'll bring up McCann and put a sour look on the face of Joe Girardi.
Well, if you're Joe Girardi and Larry Rothschild, the pitching coach, you're hoping that CeCe, with a 4-run spread here in the 4th inning, would challenge the Tigers hitters. But he is pitching the way that he feels most comfortable these days. He doesn't necessarily pitch to a lot of contact. He does not give in to the hitter, even when he should on occasion.
Sabathia already has had 6 3-ball counts. He had Upton in the hole 0-2. And McCann looks at a strike 0-1. He had a 25-pitch second after a 20-pitch first.
And the 20-pitch first was 1-2-3.
Yeah, how about that?
Of course, Kinsler had that lengthy at bat, though.
Swing and a miss. And now once again he's gone 0-2.
That's pretty much been his top fastball so far tonight, 92. He's touched that velocity a couple of times.
McCann hit into a force in his first at bat. Here's the 0-2. 1 ball and 2 strikes. McCann lays off. Iglesias waiting on deck. Popped him up. Shallow right field, playable for Beltran, and the Tigers again threatened but lead 2. Couple of walks against Sabathia, but no damage. Lead in this one as we go to the bottom of the fourth inning here at Yankee Stadium. Menards brings you the big money encounter really until the start of the month of June. The Tigers had been scuffling, but since they put together a pretty good run.
And you look up and down in every one of those categories. Runs per game up. Obviously the batting average goes up, but you also have to have some good pitching. Just look on the other team, which the Tigers have had, and the opponent's batting average as well has gone down to 185 against Tigers pitching.
Mike Pelfrey back to the mound. Starlin Castro leads it off. It'll be Castro, Gregorius, and Headley. Castro struck out with the bases loaded back in the first inning.
Castro played for the Chicago Cubs last year, and he was a major reason why that Cubs team went on to win 90+ games after he lost his shortstop position. Joe Madden put him at second base, but he didn't sulk. He just played some outstanding baseball the final 2 months of the season. He's always been able to hit.
So many good young players on that Cubs team. Of course, Addison Russell kind of became a bona fide major leaguer last year. And Castro took over at second base. Here's the 3-0. It's a strike call. 3-1 on Castro.
He became expendable when they signed Zobrist to a free agent contract. And we watched Zobrist play in Tampa for a number of years, man, but I really didn't realize how good he really is. Ben Zobrist.
In the air toward left center field. It's going to drop. Base hit. Right next to Cameron Maben, a leadoff single. Time for a game break now. Here's Johnny Kane. All right, Johnny, thank you. Here's how it is shaking out in the East, man. Those Orioles are not going anywhere, are they?
They're not. I was listening to an interview earlier today. Buck Showalter, their manager, he is irate at the fact that Manny Machado got 4 games for charging the mound last week against Kansas City. Ventura got 9 games, and there are some people that believe the 9 games weren't enough.
Yeah.
Because he only basically misses 1 start.
Yeah, that's where the inequality comes about when you're talking a position player compared to a pitcher. And Machado, a huge, huge part of that machine. Gregorius had a ball that he hit over the head of Justin Upton back in the first inning that was misplayed a bit. It went as a double to drive in 2.
I really have no issue with the 4 games that Manny got. I mean, you got to give him something for charging the mound.
Sure, absolutely. But I think for pitchers, it's got to be starts, not games.
Well, you got to look at the track record, too, of Ventura.
True. That's a good point.
I mean, he's only been up here a couple of years, man, but there's been all kinds of dust-ups when he has been on the mound, and his teammates are getting tired of it.
0-2 on Gregorius. 4-0. Yankees have the lead here in the 4th. Soft line drive, base hit, center field. An 0-2 single to center for D.D. Gregorius. And now the Yankees have something going again.
You can't make a mistake here, although that's not really a mistake. It's a ball that's down, and it's a split-fingered fastball, but Gregorius just stays with it and is able to put it in play with a half swing.
Not a terrible pitch. 2 on, nobody out. Here is Chase Headley. Stirring in the Tigers bullpen. Outside of Sanchez, looks like he may be starting to throw. We'll see.
I was talking to Rich Doobie today, Tigers pitching coach, and he's really been encouraged with what Anibal Sanchez has been able to do since being demoted to the bullpen. Feels like it's just a matter of time before he gains his confidence back and starts to throw some quality strikes and finds himself back in the rotation.
It's got to be a tremendous adjustment for him. Here's Headley. Ball one. Headley hit a ground ball his first time up, and Pelfrey could use another one here. Pelfrey really has had only one easy inning tonight. That was that 1-2-3 second in which he got all 3 ground ball outs. But the walks have been a bit of an issue tonight. He's walked 3, one of them with the bases loaded. Did not go. Mark Wegner down at third base said that he held 2-1.
If he continues to keep that two-seam fastball and that split change down in the strike zone, he'll get the ground ball that he desperately needs Headley to hit here.
Yankees got 3 in the first and 1 more in the third. A little bit outside, and now he's gone to 3-1. Number 9 hitter Rob Refsnyder on deck. Swing and a miss. 3-2.
You mentioned the fact that last time CC Sabathia was out there, he had 6 3-ball counts, and Pelfrey also 6 3-ball counts already here tonight.
The difference is that Sabathia has been able to pitch around his problems.
Mm-hmm.
And Pelfrey has given up a couple of big hits in this game, plus the bases loaded walk. Here's the 3-2. And he lost in ball 4. That will load the bases. Rich Doobie.
And going to buy a little time to help Sanchez get loose down there. Takes Sanchez a little bit longer to get loose than your typical reliever because he's always been a starter.
4 walks now for Pelfrey. And Pelfrey will face the number 9 hitter. Tigers already trailing 4-0. 30-second clock is at 0, so Doobie will head back to the dugout. Bought as much time as he possibly could. And here are the numbers by inning now on Pelfrey. 65 is his total. And right now the Tigers in danger of having the Yankees bust this one open. Here's Refsnyder. He hit one right back to the mound in his first at bat.
And Refsnyder getting some reps at first base these days with Mark Teixeira landing on the disabled list again. That was a big blow to the Yankees, although he was not playing all that well. He's still a threat, Teixeira.
Teixeira was batting just .180 with 3 homers, 12 RBIs, but yeah, the presence is no longer there for Teixeira. 0-1 on Refsnyder. Good block by McCann.
As a matter of fact, when Refsnyder started at first base on Saturday, it was the first time he had ever played there in his professional career.
There are a lot of nuances to that position at first base that make it a little bit more difficult than folks think.
For sure. Throwing the baseball, fielding the bunts, holding the runners on, taking the throws from the pitcher. making sure that you use the right foot on the bag when throws are coming from the shortstop and the third baseman. It's a great point.
1-2.
Miguel at first base, very underrated because he does so much damage with his bat. But he's a good first baseman.
Pelfrey slowly but surely trying to work his way out of this jam. Ellsbury waiting on deck. Ooh, he just missed. Man, he wanted that one. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Yankees have 6 hits in this game. The Tigers have 3. Here's the 2-2. Right back to the mound. Pelfrey to the plate. 1. On to first, a double play. The 1-2-3, and boy, is that what he needed. Two gone.
Let's take a look at our Bell Tire pitch by pitch and how Mike Pelfrey goes after Ref Snyder. He gets ahead of him with the first pitch, and he gets another strike over the real good hard 2-seam fastball. And this is about as perfect a pitch as you could make. Comebacker on a 2-seam fastball. He gets it to McCann, and McCann's able to complete the 1-2-3 double play.
So that will leave Yankees at second and third with 2 outs, and now Ellsbury stepping in.
Not out of the woods yet. You have to still really concentrate on getting Ellsbury out to make sure you don't give up these runs with 2 outs. Tigers really all season have had a difficult time of giving up 2-out runs.
Ground ball to short. Should get him out of the inning. How about this? Mike Pelfrey pitching out of a bases loaded, nobody out jam. Inning over, and we go to the 5th.
Admits that he wasn't a huge hockey fan growing up in Connecticut, but he can remember going to Hartford Whalers games, and of course it was there that the legendary Gordie Howe finished his hockey playing career. There was one game with the Detroit Vipers well after that, but at the age of 51, Mario and Rod, when he was playing with the Whalers, Gordie Howe scored 15 goals playing with his sons Marty and Mark. A true legend has passed, and we'll have a tribute to Gordie Howe later this evening just after Tigers Live. A half-hour edition of Tigers Live tonight to make room for our tribute to Gordie Howe, number 9 forever on Fox Sports Detroit.
Hey, John, we look forward to that. Now, you covered the NHL extensively in your career. Was he the biggest figure in that sport, do you think?
Absolutely. I mean, Wayne Gretzky grew up idolizing Gordie Howe, and Wayne Gretzky is considered to be the greatest hockey player ever. Wayne Gretzky says no. Gordie Howe was the greatest player ever. He wore number 9, did Wayne Gretzky, when he was growing up, as tribute to Howe, and they formed a terrific relationship as Gretzky got into adulthood and Howe moved into sort of elder statesman in the hockey circles. They loved each other a lot. Wayne Gretzky among those, passing on his thoughts and prayers to the Howe family earlier today.
That pretty much says it all. Thanks, John.
Okay.
We appreciate it. And Iglesias out on a number back to the mound, 1 away. Well, we remind you to make sure to join us tonight immediately following the Tigers postgame show for a special tribute honoring hockey legend Gordie Howe. Gordie Howe, number 9 forever, right after the Tigers postgame show. And believe me, fans, you won't want to miss this. Number 9.
The world has lost a couple of giants in the sports world. Last week, Muhammad Ali passing away. Gordie Howe now passed away.
And Muhammad Ali laid to rest today. So very tough times in the sports world. 2 greats. Ian Kinsler will step in now with 1 out. We're in the 5th. It is 4-0 in favor of the Yankees. Ian, a strikeout and a flyout. Kinsler came in batting .403 versus left-handed pitching this year. But CC's gotten him a couple of times. Sprayed foul back out of play, 0-2. Sabathia won the Cy Young with the Indians. That was back in 2007. But here's the other thing. He's also had 5 other top 5 finishes, which means year in and year out. In his heyday, man, he was one of the best. He's got Kinsler down 0-2. Down the right field line, long run. Ruff Snyder won't get there. Cameron Maybin will be next. Yankees scored 3 in the first. They added 1 more in the third, and they lead 4-0. One and 2. Tigers trying to improve on their road record this year. It is 13-16. Much better at home. They're 4 over the 500 mark at home.
It's been a difficult place for Tigers to win games the last number of years.
That's in a shallow right field, a base hit.
And you just fought that one off. That cut fastball inside. He got jammed, but the ball was up, so he was able to elevate it.
Hey, tomorrow, Baseball Night in America returns as the Tigers take on the Yankees at 7 Eastern on Fox. Then see the Indians battle the Angels in a game you can see only on FS1 at 9:30 Eastern, or you can watch it live on Fox Sports Go.
Which means we get a day off in beautiful New York.
We do. Weather's supposed to be great. Credit card might get a workout, but that's okay.
Just a little bit.
And you've got an anniversary coming up, don't you?
Yes, indeed.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Planning a big dinner?
Yeah, we'll go out to dinner somewhere.
Here's a bunt. Ooh, and a good one by Maybin. Sabathia going to have to hurry. Shovels, and he threw it away. Kinsler is on his way to third, and the Tigers now will have runners at the corners.
We were just talking about some of the things that you have to do as a first baseman. Ref Snyder really has not played the position all that well. Real good bunt by Maybin. Ref Snyder, he read it good, though. He came for it initially. Watch him. He comes for it, then he backs up and gets back to the bat because he realizes that CC could make the play, but a poor throw by CC into the baseline, and that's why Maybin was safe. But nice job by the first baseman, Ref Snyder, there.
A single for Maben. E1 allows Kinsler to go to third. And now the Tigers have something going here. Girardi came out to have a chat with home plate umpire Carlos Torres.
And what was he trying to see with Maben was running in the baseline or something?
Probably. It's the only thing I can think of.
I guess it doesn't hurt to ask. He's in his lane.
He may have started inside the baseline, but he was fine. So now here's Cabrera. Bouncing ball to short. Gregorius to second. There's one, and the relay's a double play.
Oh boy.
6-4-3, and the Tigers again turned away. Tigers baseball tonight presented by Bell Tire. Greater coverage of baseball. Of course, the draft is ongoing right now, and the Tigers, well, they selected 9th. Matt Manning, we spoke of him. Here are the top picks in the draft. Mickey Moniak of the Phillies was the #1 overall pick, an outfielder. Nick Senzel, a third baseman of the Cincinnati Reds. See, a lot of pitchers have gone in the first round, and that seems to be the premium position.
The Moniak kid, the #1 player chosen in the draft. And they said there were no Bryce Harpers in this year's draft. Therefore, Moniak, he was the #1 player chosen. A high school kid. He's slim, not very big, and they say he's not going to hit for much power. And they say that he is more like a guy that's going to drive in some runs, hit some balls gap to gap. As a matter of fact, they compared him to Ellsbury.
Pretty good comparison. There's a ball outside.
I tell you, the one that's interesting though is the White Sox pick at 10, Zach Collins, a college pitcher. And there are some that believe that it will not be long before he is in the bullpen for the Chicago White Sox with all the issues they've had lately. They did the same thing with Chris Sale when they drafted Chris Sale.
Oh, that's right, they did.
Yeah, Sale was only in the minor leagues for 13 games, and Kenny Williams rushed him to the big leagues, and the rest is history.
The one that stood out to me was Riley Pint, who went 4th overall. He's the kid out of high school in Kansas that was clocked at 102, and the Tigers were hoping he would fall to #9. There was some thought that he might, but he did not.
102? The Zach Collins kid I just mentioned that went 10. He's throwing 100 miles an hour.
This is unbelievable how hard kids are throwing these days. Even the high schoolers.
It's fascinating.
1 ball, 2 strikes. And Brett Gardner, of course, the Tigers manager, Brad Ausmus, in his day was drafted by the New York Yankees. And Brad said, because they asked him, how did you learn about when you were drafted? It's much different these days, man. They've got the parties and the signings and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
Not in Brad's day. Here's a bouncer to third. Castellanos, 1 out. Brad said, I was at my buddy's house. My mom called me and said, the Yankees just drafted you. And Brad said, cool, thanks, and he hung up. That's about it.
Mine was like that, too, in '77. I was playing an American Legion game that night. And I believe my high school coach, somebody passed the message along to him, and then he told me that congratulations, you were just drafted by the Chicago White Sox. So it wasn't a big fanfare like it is nowadays.
Yeah. What was your reaction?
I was happy, but I knew I was going to get drafted anyway. I didn't know exactly where I was going to get drafted, but I knew that I was going to get drafted that day.
Always an exciting time for young amateur players. The June draft, which is still ongoing and will be throughout the weekend. Carlos Beltran standing in with 1 out. We're in the bottom of the 5th inning here at Yankee Stadium. 4-0 Yankees. They've got the shift on against Beltran, who singled in a run in the 3rd, singled and scored in the 1st. 2-1. Brad Ausmus had a chance to play with Carlos Beltran for about half a season when he was traded to the Houston Astros. The 2-1 is popped up a mile high left side of the infield. Finally falls into the glove of Iglesias.
And those 2 months that Beltran was a teammate of Brad Ausmus's, probably the best 2 months of baseball Beltran has ever played.
Earned him a huge contract.
He hit 8 home runs in the postseason that year.
Well, Ausmus said that Beltran, when he played with Houston and even in his younger days, his physical skills were unmatched compared to anybody Brad had ever played with.
5-tool player.
And he's carved out a tremendous major league career. Here's A-Rod. He steps away from the strike.
It's fascinating that Brad would have those comments about Beltran today. And I told you I was talking to Girardi earlier today, and he had those same kinds of sentiments from Miguel Cabrera, who he managed in Florida. He said it's not even close. Miguel is so head and shoulders above anybody that he's ever managed.
Well, Cabrera certainly is headed to the Hall of Fame when he hangs it up. And as we talked about, Beltran certainly has a shot. Oh, 2 the count on Alex Rodriguez. Ball high.
Pelfrey still throwing hard. He's gotten up to 95 here today with a 4-seam fastball. Most of his fastballs, when he's having success, are anywhere from 89 to 91. That's where he gets the most movement on his 2-seam fastball. Like that.
To the shortstop, Iglesias. That'll be a 1-2-3 inning for Mike Pelfrey. 5 in the books.
runs in the first frame, a bases loaded walk to Brian McCann, and then you have, with 2 outs, you have Didi Gregorius going over the head of Upton to drive in 2. McCann tried to score that 4th one of that inning, was thrown out at home plate. And then you have James McCann making his 2nd error of the year, trying to pick off Gardner. Gardner gets a 3rd, and then Beltran simply drives him in with a base hit up the middle. And that's where we sit. 4 Yankees, Tigers, nothing.
Well, Victor Martinez will get it started now. It'll be Victor, then Castellanos, and J.D. Martinez. CC trying to get it through the 6th here when he can turn things over to the bullpen. And that, of course, means Betances, Miller, Chapman.
Tigers have seen quite a few lefties in the last week. And 3 they saw from the Chicago White Sox, and they saw 1 from the Toronto Blue Jays, and they did well against all 4 of those starters, but they struggle against guys like CC Sabathia, guys that don't basically throw 90 miles an hour, guys that bounce everything up there, guys that never give in.
This one going to the corner, and it's going to be caught on the run by Beltran.
They just don't seem to get good swings against guys that are left-handed that aren't hard throwers.
Well, we've seen a lot of that here again tonight. Now, they have had some opportunities, but just not been able to cash in. CC has made some pitches when needed, including getting Cabrera to bounce into a double play with runners at 1st and 3rd in the 5th. Here is Nick Castellanos, a strikeout and a ground out. We're at Yankee Stadium tonight for Game 1 in this series. Mario and Pemba, Rod Allen, certainly glad you are with us here this evening. Joe Nicola is our producer, and Mark Isofano is our director. Here's the 0-1. Bouncing ball to 3rd. On the move there is Headley. 2 gone.
Here is the Magic Moonshot presented by Magic Windows. J.D. Martinez had a day to remember. When you flash back to June 21st, Father's Day last year, he had 3 home runs right here in the Bronx. And J.D. said that was one of his best days as a pro. Not only the 3 home runs, but he did it on Father's Day.
Pretty cool. Martinez a single and a walk.
And I think he hit a home run in every direction here that day. Right field, center field, left field. And this is not an easy ballpark to hit home runs in center field and left center field.
That'll get back out of play. And of course, the old Yankee Stadium, before it was remodeled, you know, back in the 30s and 40s, man, they had an expansive outfield. I mean, it would be almost 400 feet just down the lines.
Really?
You know, so I mean, you talk about some of the great players that have played here, like Mickey Mantle and on. They had to hit the ball out of the ballpark that was as cavernous as you would find.
They didn't have that gimme down there like that 314 sign, right?
No, that didn't exist. Swing and a miss.
CC just out there dealing, breaking balls, changeups, elevated fastballs. That wall is awfully inviting. And that's why the Yankees, every single year, they have tons of left-handers on their roster.
Of course, that wall's running out of room.
All the retired numbers?
Yeah. Triple digits pretty soon. The 0-2. Just off the plate.
Number 2 is going to be on that wall in a minute. If it's not already up there, that would be Derek Jeter. It should be up there already.
Yeah, he's no one's going to get that number. He's a lock. Outside, 2 balls and 2 strikes.
They're playing the annual Old Timers game here on Sunday, and I was looking for Jeter's name on the list, but no Jeter this year.
No
Jeter. I guess he's still a little too young.
He's not an old timer. He's a young timer. Here's the 2-2. Outside, 3 balls, 2 strikes. Let's see, Goose Gossage on that list.
Bucky Dent, David Cone, Jesse Barfield,
Louisiana Lightning.
Yeah.
Ron Guidry.
Bernie Williams coming back. Diana Munson, she always shows up. The widow of Thurman Munson, she always shows up and
that's cool.
Sees the guys. Yeah, it's really cool. Gene Stick Michael.
3-2 pitch. Drill to center field. Ellsbury is there, and it's a 1-2-3 inning for C.C. Sabathia. We'll go to the bottom of the 6th, 4-0 Yankees. The 6th inning at Yankee Stadium. Nighttime settling in around the Bronx. That is the George Washington Bridge, and traffic appears to be semi-heavy right now. It'll be McCann to lead it off for the Yankees, and Castro and Gregorius. Driven deep in the air to right field. That ball is down the line, and that ball is going to be foul. Oh, McCann hit the stuffings out of that thing, but he yanked it just foul.
He has tremendous numbers anyway against Mike Pelfrey. And Pelfrey's kept him quiet so far this evening. Just one walk, and he got an RBI on the walk and a ground out, but he jumped all over that first pitch there.
A long, loud strike, 0-1 on McCann. One ball, one strike. Pelfrey right now is still at only 86 pitches compared to where he was earlier in the game. He's had a couple of quick innings, which has helped him out. Ground ball right into the teeth of the shift and right at Cabrera. One away, time for a game break, and Johnny Kane. Johnny, thank you. Here it is 4-0 as we play in the 6th. Well, the White Sox in a free fall, man. They were 23-10 at one point. Now they're 500.
Yeah, and they're already starting to panic a little bit. They released Jimmy Rollins, longtime shortstop, a couple of days ago, and they also released Matt Latos, who got off to a superior start with him. What have you done for me lately, though, I guess?
There's the ball low and away.
They also acquired James Shields, and I heard he got lit up his first start as a Chicago White Sox.
Well, Tim Anderson, who is one of their bright prospects, infield prospects, took the place of Jimmy Rollins. He had a hit in his debut tonight. It'll be a different looking White Sox team when the Tigers get there in a couple of days. Big swing there by Castro. One and two the count. Now Pelfrey with the 1-2 pitch. Castro a single and a strikeout in this game. The Yankees have a total of 6 hits. The Tigers have 5, and both teams have an error. Right back to the mound, and Pelfrey's got a lot of those tonight. 2 gone.
Here is our high-speed pitch, and it is brought to you by Xfinity. A top fastball today for Mike Pelfrey, 95. He's done that a couple times, and he's gone as low as 72 with his off-speed pitch.
Slap foul back out of play. Yankees on top 4-0 as we play here in the bottom of the 6th. Tigers once again with Pelfrey on the mound, unable to get him any runs, at least to this point. What did you say, they were averaging less than 2 a game for him?
Less than 2 going into last time he pitched, and I believe they scored 4 for him that day, so it's still pretty low. He's getting some of the worst run support in the major leagues.
Now the 1-1. Blaine Hardy, the lefty, is starting to warm up in the Detroit bullpen. They had Sanchez earlier, but Pelfrey was able to dig out of a bases loaded, nobody out jam, and Sanchez sat down. Rolled towards second. It's going to be another ground ball out for Mike Pelfrey. It's a 1-2-3 6th inning. He's retired 8 straight.
Fast delivery of the game. Mario, I didn't ever think there'd be a day where I would call Cecil Sabathia crafty left-hander, but you know what? That's exactly what he is these days.
You're going there.
Breaking balls, change-ups, fastballs in breaking ball counts, and he just kept the Tigers off balance all night long. Not a lot of hard contact today against CC Sabathia. 4 strikeouts, 6 groundouts, and 8 harmless flyouts.
So the crafty lefty is going back to the hill now as we go to the 7th inning, and a ball missing low to Justin Upton. Bottom 3 for the Tigers. It'll be Upton, McCann, Iglesias in a 4-0 game. CC about to throw his 100th pitch of the night. Ground ball to short. Gregorius boots it, stays with it. 1 out. There you have it. An even 100 for Sabathia.
This will be CC's last inning, and then the Tigers will have to deal with one of the 3 in that bullpen. It will be Betances or Miller, or could be Kirby Yates.
It's Kirby Yates. The Yankees yesterday used Betances, Miller, and Chapman in their victory against the Angels.
Stressful outings?
I don't remember. I know it was a fairly tight game. Here's a strike call. James McCann, the batter. Swing and a miss. No balls and 2 strikes. McCann in the ball game has a ground ball and a flyout, and CC missing low. Well, the Yankees won 6-3 yesterday. Miller and Chapman each pitched an inning and struck out 2 each.
Yeah, Betances, he threw 9 pitches. Chapman threw 13, and Miller threw 15 pitches. So he could probably use all 3, depending on what happened earlier than that. How many days in a row he's used them?
Well, I know they blew out the Angels the night before. I don't think any of them pitched that night.
They swept the Angels, correct?
They did. 4 straight. 2-2 on McCann. Iglesias will be next. We're on the top of the 7th. High fly ball, center field, hit pretty good. Ellsbury going back, edge of the warning track.
9 flyouts now thrown by CC Sabathia this evening.
Well, Friday, June 24th, the Tigers take on the Indians at 7:10 p.m. The first 10,000 fans receive a free Detroit Tigers floppy hat. For tickets, visit tigers.com or call 866-66-TIGER. Here is Iglesias now with 2 away. Six in a row retired by Sabathia. Iggy with a single and a comebacker right to the mound. Ball 1. Yankees, despite the fact that they are .500 on the year, pretty good at home, 17-12. One ball, 1 strike. Sabathia just kind of bobbing and weaving right through this Tigers lineup tonight. Ground ball slowly towards short. Gregorius. Iglesias is out. It'll be a 1-2-3 for CC Sabathia. 4-0 Yanks. Coming up, the 7th inning stretch brought to you by Jeff Glover and Associates Realtors. Sports Detroit is brought to you by the Sam Bernstein Law Firm, official legal services sponsor of Fox Sports Detroit. Bell Tire, get the lowest tire price, period. Bell Tire. Chevrolet, more than you expect for less than you imagine. And by Crown Royal Regal Apple Flavored Whiskey. Please drink responsibly. Back here in the Bronx, we're at Yankee Stadium, where we go to the bottom of the 7th. It is 4-0 in favor of the Yanks.
Here is the 1-800 Call Sam call of the game. One of the things that we've always talked about Pelfrey, when he gets himself into a jam, he's always one pitch away from getting out of that jam, as he was when Iglesias started the 6-4-3, and then he helped himself out with the 1-2-3 double play. He threw 29 double plays last year. He's already thrown 11 ground ball double plays this season.
Well, Pelfrey has retired the last 8 consecutive Yankees. And he'll go to work here in the bottom of the 7th. And the way things were going early in the game, it did not appear that he'd be able to pitch into the 7th. But here he is. Chase Headley will start things off for the Yankees. It'll be Headley, then Ref Snyder, and Jacoby Ellsbury. Headley looks at a ball outside. Bottom of the 7th is underway. Headley in the ball game had the base on balls in the 4th, which loaded the bases, and then that's when Pelfrey got the comebacker to the mound and started the process of getting out of the inning. The 1-0 pitch. Grounder back up the middle. Kinsler on the backhand. Another ground ball out. 1 away here in the 7th, and 9 straight retired by Pelfrey.
And CC getting it done with lots of flyouts today, 9 of those. And Mike Pelfrey, he's throwing tons of ground balls, as he always does.
Rob Ref Snyder is 0 for 2. Strike 1. Here is number 100 from Pelfrey. Strike called. 0-2 on Ref Snyder. '26 pitch first. Most of the other innings in pretty good shape. The 0-2.
I wanted to correct something I said earlier. I was talking about Zach Collins, the 10th pick overall for the Chicago White Sox, and I said he was a pitcher, but he's not. He's a catcher. I was thinking of Zach Birdie, who they took with the 26th overall pick, the college pitcher out of Louisville.
Okay.
That they expect to get to the big leagues soon. So I apologize for that.
He's the kid. Ooh, look out. He's the kid that throws upper 90s.
100 miles an hour.
Yeah, 100 miles an hour.
Yeah, the Birdie kid.
Yeah. I saw him on television the other night, and he looked awfully impressive, and somebody, as you mentioned, that could help a big league bullpen by the end of the summer.
Yeah, he might be the first one in this 2016 draft to get to the big leagues. He's a true closer, they say.
And again, the 1-2.
Did you know that Pelfrey has 16 groundouts today?
That's unbelievable. I mean, we're in the 7th inning still. 16 ground ball outs. Everything literally has been on the ground. He's had a couple of double plays turned behind him. Now the 1-2. Right back at the screen it goes. There is activity now in the Yankees bullpen. Dylan Betances.
Mike Harkey is back as the bullpen coach for the New York Yankees. He left for a couple of years, and he was the pitching coach for the Arizona Diamondbacks, but now he's back with his best friend, Joe Girardi.
Ref Snyder is out of there, and there are 2 gone. We go back to the studio now, and Johnny Kane. All right, Johnny, thank you. And with 2 outs here in the 7th, Pelfrey goes to work against Ellsbury. Swing and a miss. Pelfrey now at 106, and that's a season high for Mike. Ellsbury, well, he's hit the ball on the ground 3 straight at bats.
That's one thing you know as an infielder when you come to the ballpark and Pelfrey's on the mound. You're going to get quite a few ground balls that night.
It certainly has been a given tonight. Kinsler's gotten a lot of them. Here's the 1-1. Just off the plate, 2-1.
The Yankees have all those left-handers in their lineup that love to try to pull those 2-seam fastballs that Pelfrey's been featuring this evening, and when you try to pull those sinkers away from you, when you try to hit those sinkers away from you usually pull them. And back to the second baseman.
Ball 3. Brett Gardner waiting on deck. Should Ellsbury reach? Pounded back out of play. 3 balls and 2 strikes. 3 here in New York, 3 in Chicago beginning Monday, and then a 4-game series in KC. Now the 3-2. Walked him. 2-out walk for Ellsbury. Stops a string of 10 straight that Pelfrey had retired. And here goes Brad. He has signaled to the bullpen with Brett Gardner due up. And that's going to be it for Pelfrey. A season high 111 pitches. Blaine Hardy will come into the ball game. Wallside Windows pitching change, and we'll be back. As we play in the bottom of the 7th, it is 4-0 in favor of the Yankees here, and Mike Pelfrey is out of the game. He is replaced by Blaine Hardy.
And Blaine does not have a record yet. He's only been in 9 games since coming back up from the minor leagues, and a 1.86 ERA for Hardy, which is really, really good.
The walk to Ellsbury signaled the end for Pelfrey. Here is Brett Gardner. He looks at ball 1 high. Pelfrey 6 2/3. He walked 4, struck out 2. Still responsible for the man at first base. Gardner's had a pretty good night. Single walk, 2 runs scored. Ellsbury down there at first base has 12 steals, which is good for 3rd in the American League.
Ellsbury, outstanding baseball player. Really the only thing that he does not do well in the game is throw, and that's really not all that important for a center fielder. But he can run, he can hit for average, a little bit of power, and a good defender.
Now 2-0 on Gardner.
And the year that Justin Verlander won the MVP, Ellsbury, he finished 2nd that year. Man, did he have a great year.
He did, but unfortunately for him, JV won 24-5 that year and won the award. Here's the 2-0. Popped up down the first base line, trailing back toward the dugout. Miggy has room. And the inning is over. No runs, a walk, 1 left. Tigers baseball presented by Bell Tire.
Scoreboard moments that happen in baseball stadiums where the Yankees single out the fan of the game, and I think it's fairly tongue-in-cheek, but the one fan that they singled out was John Westhoff, the vice president, general counsel, and assistant general manager of the team, who was right over my shoulder here. Of course, all the guys in the dugout saw that, and that led to absolute hysterics. The one guy in the ballpark rooting as hard as anybody for the Tigers becomes the Yankees fan of the game. Mario, all right?
What else can you say about that, Keats? I mean, other than maybe the fix was in.
John Westhoff is one of the brightest men in baseball. He has been in the front office of the commissioner's office before he went to work for Dave Dombrowski. And, of course, Dave has left, and now he works for Al Avila in the front office. And, man, does he do a marvelous job. I always tease him because he's going to have to write quite a few checks. He's not writing the checks, but he's the one that does all the negotiating with all the new draft choices and players. And he just he is worth a lot to the organization.
Yeah, but all that compares to being selected the fan of the game here at Yankee Stadium. Wall side windows pitching change, and Dellin Betances is in.
He should have had some Tigers gear on.
He should have. We'll see now if the Tigers can put something together here in the 8th inning against Betances. They've got the top of the lineup. It'll be Ian Kinsler. He'll follow straight back, no balls and 2 strikes. Betances coming in upper 90s.
He is one of the brightest young stars in all of baseball. Dellin Betances. Fastball in the upper 90s and a tremendous wipeout slider. He could close on just about any other team in baseball.
Did he go? Yes, he went around. Kinsler is out. 1 gone here in the 8th.
Of course, the $1 million question here in Yankee land is if the Yankees are not real contenders when they get to the trade deadline, do they dare trade a Miller or trade a Betances or a Chapman?
Well, I guess there's several ways to look at it. You could trade one of those guys and still have a pretty powerful 8th and 9th innings in your bullpen.
Who's the most valuable to you of the 3?
Ooh.
Who would get the most?
Who would get the most?
Yeah.
I would probably say Aroldis Chapman.
Chapman?
Who's the most valuable to them? I would say Betances because of his age. You think Miller maybe could get the most?
Oh, Miller's, man, is he good.
Yeah.
Miller might get you a number 1, number 2 starter.
Here's a strike called on Cameron Maybin.
But this kid right here, you can control him for the next 4 years.
Yeah, that's a good point, which makes him valuable, very valuable.
Miller's in the 2nd year of a 4-year contract, and Chapman is a free agent after this season.
Okay, I want to change my pick. Dellin Betances. Now that you've explained it to me.
Well, he's come in and he's thrown nothing but strikes. I mean, he finished Kinsler off in 3 straight pitches, and he's trying to do the exact same thing here to Cameron Maybin.
The 0-2 slides low, 1 ball and 2 strikes.
He throws that slider at different speeds too. That one was a bigger break, a slower slider, but he has one too at about 88 that has a real quick, sharp break to it. Here it comes. The strikeout pitch.
Bouncing ball to short. Gregorius. Maybin is out. 2 up, 2 down. Here's the Chevy Silverado most dependable player as Miguel Cabrera comes strolling in. Highest OPS against the Yankees since the 1913 season. Look at these names.
And the only name on there of this generation is Miguel Cabrera. The only name on there.
Cabrera's 0 for 3 in this game.
Hank Greenberg was bad too, bad dude too, man. His name shows up on just about everything positive as far as hitting is concerned. And who will ever forget this day? Miguel Cabrera, 2 home runs in the same series against Mariano Rivera.
First time I've ever seen Rivera say wow on a home run ball that he'd given up. Miguel put on a show. High fly ball down the right field line. Let's see if it gets to the seats. It will.
When Cabrera was an amateur and before the Tigers signed him, there were several other teams that really liked Miggy as well. But he developed a really nice relationship with Al Avila, and he ended up signing with the Florida Marlins at that time. The Yankees probably offered more money, but Miguel did not want to play for the Yankees.
Swing and a miss. And Betances strikes out Cabrera, who is 0 for 4 tonight. A 1-2-3-8 for Dellin Betances.
That was a 100-mile-an-hour fastball.
5 hits as we go to the bottom of the 8th in game 1 in this 3-game weekend series. And Carlos Beltran will lead it off. And Beltran looks at a ball outside. 1-0 the count.
And first at bat of the evening for Carlos Beltran, batting right-handed. He was 2 for 3 with a couple of singles against Pelfrey. And batting left-handed today.
Did not go. 2-0 the count. Blaine Hardy came on in relief of Pelfrey in the 7th. He got a pop-up from Gardner. And now he'll pitch here in the 8th. He's gone 3-0. Beltran an RBI single in the 3rd. He's 2 out of 3 tonight. Taking all the way in the outer edge, strike 3-1.
Really not a lot of offense in this game for either team.
Yeah, to be sure. Because the Yankees haven't scored since the 3rd.
I mean, they have 4 runs on 6 hits. Of course, the Tigers, they have not hit many balls hard this evening at all.
To the right side. And Kinsler to the grass. 1 gone. Tigers fans, fill out your 2016 Esurance MLB All-Star Game ballot now at Tigers.com on your computer, tablet, or smartphone. Vote up to 35 times. Vote today. Vote tomorrow at Tigers.com/vote. Tigers have several players that are certainly worthy of being an All-Star this year. Here is Alex Rodriguez.
And Tigers fans are going to have to get out there and start voting.
Castellanos has had a nice year. Kinsler, Martinez, Cabrera. The 0-1. A-Rod walked and scored in the 1st. Otherwise, a double play and a ground out. Anthony Swarzak warming up in the Yankees bullpen.
Former Minnesota Twin.
Swing and a miss. 2-2 on Alex Rodriguez. Tigers in the 9th inning will have Victor Martinez, Nick Castellanos, JD Martinez. Chopper toward the 3rd baseman Castellanos. 2 up, 2 down. And Hardy has retired 3 in a row since coming on. Brian McCann will step in, which means Castellanos will run to the other side of the infield as they play the shift. McCann, a bases loaded walk, an RBI. Otherwise, he's 0 for 2.
Mario, I know you've come to this ballpark about as many times as I have over the course of the last 15 years. Have you ever heard it any quieter in this place all game long?
No, I would agree with that.
Just one of them kind of games that started out in the 1st inning just kind of quiet. And I guess there's not a lot of offense, not a whole lot to cheer about.
That ball hit well down the right field line. It's going to bounce up against the wall. McCann is going to be held to a single. He rifles one to the wall in right field. I think the way this game was got off to the slow start.
Yeah, CC threw a lot of pitches in the 1st. Pelfrey had some trouble in the 1st as well. It's a breaking ball that stayed up in the strike zone for Brian McCann. He rifled that ball off the right field wall, and he was only able to get a single.
Here is Starlin Castro. That is the 7th hit for the Yankees. Tigers have 5 hits. Castro 1 out of 3. Ground ball, third base, deep behind the bag, fair ball. And Castellanos will throw him out. No runs to hit, 1 left, and we go to the 9th. Central Division standings stand. The Tigers came in 3 games back along with the Royals behind the Cleveland Indians. Chicago 3.5 out. And Minnesota thinking about next year at this point.
It's going to be a tight race all year long between those 4 teams, in my opinion.
Anthony Swarzak is out of the bullpen now to get the final, or try and get the final 3 outs. And he'll face Martinez, Castellanos, Martinez.
He's been in 1 game this year, and he has 1 win. Anthony Swarzak.
So Betances pitching the 8th, and now Swarzak here in the 9th with a 4-run lead.
Betances, he struck out Miguel Cabrera with a 100-mile-per-hour fastball to end that inning.
Victor has a rip and fouls it back. The 9th inning is underway.
How can you have 2 guys on your staff that throw 100 miles an hour?
Doesn't seem right, does it?
A lefty and a righty. And Miller's not far behind those guys.
He's mid to upper 90s with that devastating slider. Ball high and away. Swarzak signed to a major league contract on Tuesday. As Rod mentioned, had time with the Minnesota Twins out of their bullpen. 1-1 is fouled back out of play. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Just in case Swarzak needs some help, there is action in the bullpen for the Yankees. Here's the 1-2. Look out. That'll go foul. Back to the dugout. Chapman is warming up in case he's needed. The 4-0 lead is kind of one of those gray areas where you've got to make sure that your closer is ready, but you really don't want him to get super hot because you don't want to burn him if he doesn't have to come in.
That's a great point. It's kind of play by ear. One guy gets on, then they start to, go a little harder, and then of course it'll be a save situation if he does allow a base runner, and then Joe Girardi goes to his closer.
One gone now. We check in with John Keating.
Mario, it's a shorter and snappier version of the Tigers Live post-game coverage. Just a half hour tonight as we make way for our Gordie Howe tribute special that will follow it right after the half hour. You'll hear from Brad Ausmus as per usual. We'll also hear from Mike Pelfrey. It's Johnny Kane and Craig Monroe in the Call Sam Studios right after our game tonight here in the Bronx, guys.
All right, Keats, thanks. Right now, the Tigers down to their final 2 outs as Castellanos steps in. Swing and a miss, 0-1. Tigers tonight have been limited to just 5 hits. Backed him out of there. 1 ball and 1 strike. Nick skies one in the air. First base side, Ref Snyder. Let's see if he has room. He can't get it. That thing ate him up.
Well, we told you that Ref Snyder is not a first baseman. He played first base for the very first time on Saturday. And this is just a play that he's not accustomed to. Should have been caught, though.
So Nick is still alive. Two groundouts and a strikeout tonight for Castellanos. High towering fly ball to center. It's playable. Ellsbury waiting on it. And there are 2 gone.
A lot of flyouts today off Tigers bats. Good pitch to hit there for Castellanos. Just missed it.
Two gone. Tigers down to their final out. J.D. Martinez single and a walk. Right back up the middle and into center field. A base hit. Right through the shift. A 2-out single. That'll keep it going for Justin Upton. Second hit of the night for J.D. and the 6th for the Tigers. Well, Chapman was sitting down. Now that base hit has him on his feet again. Here's Upton. 0-1.
A nice little breaking ball there thrown by Anthony Swarzak. And better location with that one. Fastball gets up to 94.
That's in the air to shallow right. Should do it. Beltran is under it, and the Yankees will shut out the Tigers tonight. That is the 5th time this year the Tigers have been shut out. 4-0 the final score tonight from the Bronx. We'll be back to New York.